Howdy, hey everyone, my name is Jen and I am a part of the Crafty crew, and I am also a 2023 bride. So my first series is going to be a DIY wedding series. I am going to share with you all the tips and tricks and all the little details that I decided to do it myself to make my special day even that much more special. Today we'll be focusing on flowers. So flowers are a huge part of a wedding. They can, in my opinion, they can make or break the appearance and the vibe of a wedding. So for mine, I actually decided to do wood flowers. Don't let it fool you. They are really, really simple and they are very gorgeous. And you almost can't even tell the difference that they are wood. And the best part is these will last forever. If you take care of them, these will last you forever. So imagine keeping your bridal bouquet for the rest of your life. Isn't that crazy? So obviously the first step in our DIY wedding series is the flowers. These are the first things we're going to tackle. Before we can tackle the flowers, I'm going to let you know everything that we're going to be using in today's video. So the first thing, of course, are wood flowers. So now I'm going to be using these little mini assortment of flowers because I've already done a lot of the bigger flowers for my wedding. So I actually have all of my flowers for my bouquets already dyed. I actually did a little day and I did them with my bridesmaids and it was very sweet. It was a memory I'm going to cherish forever. But now we need to dye all the stuff for our bouquet or for our corsages and our boutonnieres. So of course, the first step is to have your wood flowers. I got mine from Sola Wood Flowers. And with that, they also came with their own dye. You can choose 3 dyes. So the colors of my wedding are ivory, a vintage mauve, and also a blush pink. So once you have your flowers and your dye, you are going to need to have glycerin. Now, glycerin is actually what helps soften your flowers so they're not so brittle. This is it's almost like styrofoam, and to keep them nice and more flower-like and to keep them from breaking along the way, you know, to and from your venue and also throughout the day, you're going to want to soften them up with glycerin. Today I'm using a vegetable glycerin, but it really doesn't matter. It's all up to you. This was actually pretty cheap, so that's why I chose this one. You will need some sort of measuring spoon. It really depends. We are going to be using ratios today. So it really all depends on how much you're making as to how big of a size of a measuring spoon you'll need. You also need a popsicle stick just to stir all of the paint inside just to make sure that you're having no clumps. And then you will need egg cartons. Egg cartons are perfect for after you dye them and you just want to set them to dry. These puppies have to dry for 24 hours, so if you're doing a big amount, having a large egg carton works perfectly. And the last thing you're going to need is a container to do so. Again, if you're doing the bigger flowers, this of course obviously wouldn't work. You might want to do some sort of styrofoam bowl to make sure you can dip all sides of the flowers. But since we're only doing these little tiny ones, I just got some little Tupperware containers and they will work out just perfectly. Flash tip, guys. The other ingredient you're going to need is something to dye the flowers on because it gets a little messy. So make sure you're covering whatever surface you're working with. Okay, so let's get started. Today I'm actually going to be dyeing 5 different colors, and I only have 3 here, but I want to add a little more dimension to my bouquets and to all my corsages and boutonnieres. So with these 3, I'm actually going to make 2 different colors. I'm going to make a light and a dark pink and a light and dark mauve. And all you have to do is just change the ratio. So the ratio I'm talking about is the ratio between water, dye, and your glycerin. So the ratio that I found out was best was a ratio of 1 to 8 of the glycerin to water. So 1 tablespoon of glycerin to 8 tablespoons of water, or whatever you're working with. And then the ratio I found the best for glycerin to the dye, for my light colors, I use a 1-to-1 ratio. And for my darker colors, I use a 1-to-2 ratio. Today, for these little mini guys, I'm going to be working in teaspoons. So I have, I'm going to be working with a 1/2 teaspoon Granted, we kind of lost our half teaspoon when we were dyeing them with my bridesmaids, so I'll just be doubling this a fourth a teaspoon. So we'll be doing a half a teaspoon of color to 4 teaspoons of water to a half a teaspoon of glycerin. Now for my darker colors, remember that's a 1:2 ratio of your glycerin to your color. So I'll be doing 4 teaspoons, half a teaspoon, and then 1 full teaspoon for these. Flash tip, when you guys are making your color concoctions, use lukewarm water. It helps that glycerin and that color combine into one nice smooth mixture. To mix your colors, it's very, very simple to do. What you want to do is you want to take your measuring spoon, just pour in your proper amount of glycerin into the water, and then I've already done this for those 3, and then I'm going to do it to the others. But before you add in the dye, you want to stir the glycerin and the water mixture together just until it combines. It is you'll definitely see that it will combine in not too long. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. Cool. Now that all of them are combined, we are going to add in the colors. For my ivory color, I want it to be very dark. I want to do kind of the same thing as a dark color. I just prefer it. So I'm going to shake it up real quick, make sure that the paint's all together. And then I will be creating my dark ivory. And again, once you pour your color in there, you're just going to want to mix it up real good. Woo! Make sure you get all of that dye off of your measuring spoon. And again, you can use that popsicle stick. I actually think I'm going to use a popsicle stick to get all of that good color back into the water. You're just going to mix it up real good. And then this one is actually now ready for a flower. I will be right back after mixing up all the other colors. Okay, now that all of our colors are ready, it's time to dye them. You might want to bring your egg tray a little closer to you. And then I'm going to go ahead and start with the ivory. And it's very, very simple. All you want to do is just, I'm going to do a rose. You're just going to take it and you're going to dunk it in the dye. Roll it around, just trying to get all the dye soaked up. Now with some of these, like with these little roses, you can pull apart the petals. When you pull apart the petals though, you might notice that the bottom of that petal did not get dyed. So if you go ahead and pull them up and fix them, make sure you look down, and if there are any spots that you haven't dyed, go ahead and dip it back in and roll it around and dye it again. But I think that's one of the fun things about these wood flowers is that as soon as you get them wet, you can move them. You can, if they were damaged in shipping or if they just didn't come as pretty or as open as you would like them, you can totally open it up, and then after you've opened up, just dip it back in, roll it around, make sure it gets, the color gets all the way down there in all those nooks and crannies. Then tip it over, tip it over and drain it just a little bit. And then once you're done, make sure there are no little blobs. And then once you're done, put it in the egg cart. And boom, you've dyed your first Sola Wood flower. Flash tip, when dyeing your guys' flowers, make sure that once you roll it around in the concoction, hold it upside down and shake it a lot, because there is a lot of pockets of water down deep inside of your flowers. So make sure you shake it and get all those drips out before you flip it right side up and place it gently into your egg carton. One thing to note when you're dyeing your flowers is that some of these flowers take on color better than others. So you will notice that maybe some of your thinner ones that have thinner petals will take on color better than others. And maybe some of the ones with the thicker petals, they will not take color as much as you'd like them to. But that's the best part also about experimenting, is you can play around, see what flowers look best in some of your colors, and go from there. So don't be afraid if they all don't look uniform. They are not gonna all look uniform. but that's also the beauty in doing it yourself. They're all unique and they're all unique to you and your wedding. And I will be right back after dyeing the rest of these little flowers. And just like that, we have a full carton full of fully dyed mini flowers. Aren't they pretty? So now all you're gonna do is let these sit for about 24 hours so that way they can fully dry. And then once they're fully dry, you can make them into boutonnieres, corsages, put them in your bouquets. The opportunities are endless. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this video. Can't wait to see you next time.